Bears beats Battlestar Galactica brackets. Brackets, often annotated as BR, or the B in the newer annotation BXF, standing for brackets, crossovers, and foot switches, are an advanced technique in dance games where the player presses multiple panels of the dance pad at the same time with a single foot. The history of brackets began with the game Pump It Up and later the game In the Groove in the form of hands. Hands forced players to use their hands to hit a third and even fourth arrow while pressing other arrows with their feet. While using your hands is still allowed in dance games, the speed and complexity of step charts has advanced over the years, causing players to look for alternate methods to hit multiple panels simultaneously. To solve this problem, players began stepping on the metal bracket of the DDR Pump It Up and In the Groove pads in order to hit one panel with the heel of their foot and another panel with the toe of the same foot. Thus, brackets were born using their ultra superpowers. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Throughout the years, dance game technology has also evolved. Players learned how to modify DDR, ITG, and Pump It Up arcade pads to make the panels more sensitive and less recessed, enabling easier execution of bracket technique. Newer releases of Pump It Up and the release of Step Maniacs pads removed metal brackets entirely, letting players freely hit multiple arrows with a single foot. If you have Step Maniacs pads and need help increasing the sensitivity of your panels, check out my video about tape modding in the description below. These days, players will rarely use their hands on the pad, unless they're trying to show off, or play a doubles chart like Step Maniacs' Galactical Full Mode. Brackets are a fairly simple concept, but are much harder to recognize and execute in game. I'm going to talk about some of the common use cases for the bracket technique, as well as give example step charts you can use to practice some of these use cases. Check the links in the description for example step charts. The actual execution of the bracket technique is as simple as pressing two panels with a single foot. However, it can be difficult to know when to press two panels with a single foot instead of jumping and using both feet. Now we're going to go into some use cases of brackets. The most obvious use case for bracket technique is when three or more panels need to be pressed at the same time. These are usually pretty easy to recognize, even when sight reading, but it can take some brain practice to be able to physically react to these patterns in time. The execution here is simple. Jump and land with your toe and heel of one foot on two separate panels to press them at the same time. The positioning of your feet will depend on the size of your foot and what type of pad you play on. For me personally, I have tiny size 7.5 or 8 feet, so I have to be pretty precise with where my foot is placed on the pad. Generally, the bigger your feet, the less precise your foot placement will need to be for brackets. But, as with any technique, you want to try to use the minimal effort necessary when executing brackets, so try not to move your feet too far or step too hard. Another interesting use for the bracket technique is during freeze arrows. Step charts will occasionally force you to be on a freeze arrow while simultaneously hitting other panels with the same foot. This application of the bracket technique is often called bracket taps, or BT in tech annotation. These patterns of arrows can be more difficult to recognize as brackets. In fact, some charts will want you to cross over during a freeze arrow, use a double step technique to hit other arrows during the freeze arrow, or even want you to continue alternating feet by foot switching on the freeze arrow, which is commonly called a wadat, named after the song it originally appeared in DDR, or a hold switch. Although all of these patterns may look like brackets at a glance, it's not always best to use brackets to perform them. In these cases, it's often important to look at the tech annotation on the step chart if you're struggling to complete a certain pattern. Players often mix these techniques together after much practice and use what feels comfortable for them depending on the step chart. For many ITG step charts, the step artist will include technical annotation to describe what type of technique they want you to use in the song. For more information about technical annotations, check out Vincent ITG's video on ITG technical annotations in the video description below. Although this stream pattern may look like and be performed as jumps, as the speed and stamina required in step charts increases, it becomes increasingly difficult to perform jumps and maintain both accuracy and stamina. In this example, I attempt to play the song by jumping every time there are two simultaneous arrows. Obviously, this doesn't go so well, both from a speed perspective and from a stamina perspective. However, this step chart was labeled BR++, or brackets++, so I knew in advance to expect many brackets throughout the chart. By using the bracket technique, I am able to maintain my foot speed and accuracy using little stamina during this stream. One key to practicing brackets in stream is to focus on always alternating feet and pay close attention to how your foot needs to be turned diagonally to hit multiple panels at once. Once you have both the pattern recognition of the brackets and the muscle memory of the angle at which your feet need to turn in order to hit both panels, the brackets flow seamlessly as you alternate your feet during the stream. In recent years, the bracket technique has also been mixed in with other techniques such as foot switches, crossovers, and even cross-pad brackets in doubles play. These advanced applications of the bracket technique don't tend to show up until higher level difficulties, but they provide even more fun ways to utilize brackets for step artists and top players alike. The best way to get started learning bracket technique is to work on the foot positioning on your pad. Practice being able to trigger both panels with your foot, one using your heel and one using your toe. Practice each combination of panels with your feet to get a feel for where you will need to be and how much force you'll need to put in order to get your panels to trigger. Next, pick a song in a difficulty you find easy, but that contains places where the step artist intended to use brackets. I recommend a song like the one in the video because you know that every time there are two arrows, you can use a bracket technique, unless they're the up and the down arrow or the left and the right arrow. Force yourself not to jump, but to attempt each jump as a bracket with a single foot where possible. At first, many people find the up left and down right bracket combinations the hardest to see because the brain has a hard time with the space between the arrows. Our brains are confused that one foot would have to step on two things that are so far apart, but once you practice forcing yourself to do brackets on these combinations, you will have the pattern recognition and muscle memory so ingrained that it will come as second nature. Brackets can be difficult to learn, but if you continue playing songs in your comfort zone in which the step artist intended you to use the bracket technique, and you force yourself to attempt the brackets instead of jumping, they can become one of the most rewarding and fun advanced techniques in dance games. If you want some fun ITG bracket charts to play, please check out the pack below made by a bunch of the members of the ITG community. It's called Bracket Spectrum, and that's where I got most of the charts when I made this video. It has all types of brackets and a variety of difficulties from ITG 8 all the way up to ITG 16 and contains both doubles and singles. Also, as I previously mentioned in this video, I highly recommend checking out Vincent ITG's video for a brief explanation of all ITG advanced techniques and the tech notation that goes along with them. The link to his video is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and feel free to comment below or reach out to me on Discord at McClouchick in the International Timing League or StepManiacs official Discords if you have any questions. Also, if you're interested, I'll leave a link to my twitch.tv account where you can follow me to catch me playing In the Groove and StepManiacs live on stream. Good luck with your brackets, and have fun stepping on those arrows.